Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for giving me the time in this committee, and to the Irish Cattle Breeding Federation that's here with us today. We're speaking today, of course, on the impact of suckler farmers and farming families on the recent beef Eurostar index changes. I know that the impact, and I suppose what I would like to ask Mr. Coughlin, I suppose in your role as Chief Executive of the organisation here, is that you've indicated suboptimal communications. Would you accept that there is a failure in terms of the communications around the impact of these recent changes, and that failure has impacted livelihoods of farmers that I represent in Roscommon and Galway due to the impact of your communications? Would you accept that?
Absolutely.
So you accept that there is
I accept that the responsibility for that communication rests on my shoulders, and that, Senator, we would not be here today if that communication was optimal.
And that failure has impacted on the livelihoods of farmers and farming families because of the impact of the failure that you've just admitted here.
No, I would beg to differ on that. So the failure of the communication has meant that there is a lot of anxiety and worry out there among farmers, many of whom won't have a negative impact, but that hasn't stopped them being worried, because again, 84% of the animals that were 4 and 5 star previously are 4 or 5 star going forward. 82% of the herds already have enough animals to qualify for the next stage of the scheme. Now, fair enough, not all of those animals will still be in those herds. So, I mean, I think in terms of the concern, the fear that's out there, there are some herds in that are impacted, and there are some pedigree breeders that are impacted, and that's a challenge.
And as you said there, 16%, because of course, as you've mentioned, animals that stay within the herd, of course, keep their rating.
Yep.
But what's the likelihood of that? A lot of farming families are going to need to sell cattle on, and once they do that, the star rating changes. Is that not correct?
Yeah, they will sell cattle on, and that's part of the normal process. But typically those.
If those cattle have been so solid, when they come into the ring in a March, what will their star rating be?
It'll be the new star rating. So Senator is absolutely correct. So if an animal is 4 star in the herd and it goes to 3 star, that animal is still valid in that herd, but if that animal goes to be sold, it's then 3 star for the next person that buys it. So
I come from a family that, we grew up as suckler farmers, and I know that we kept cattle for a short time and they went to the mart, and if you didn't make a sale, that was a huge impact on the income coming into our family.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
small farmers.
Yes, absolutely.
So can I ask you then again, with the impact of the failure in communication on the livelihoods of farmers that now need to sell cattle, going to the mart, their star rating is now dropped, and they were not aware of that. So does the failure in communication not indicate that it has an impact on the livelihoods of farmers?
I mean, the point I would make there, Senator, is that there are 2 people as part of the transaction. Okay, and this is part of what we have to also realise. So that person is going to the mart and selling that cow, but it's another commercial farmer that's equally dependent on buying the right type of animal, that is depending on that for to make their living, and I think that they are entitled to know what the rating of the animal is.
So if I might interrupt again, and can I ask you, ICBF at the moment, you're an enterprise, large enterprise, close to 80 employees. You have agri-advisors. How many locations do you have across the country?
No, we don't have any agri-advisors per se. No.
Do you have any liaisons that work with farmers?
We have a Herd Plus service that is our farmer subscription service that work, but that's largely no. We do meetings, and we do go out to do meetings.
And who does that?
So Teagasc are the main.
So Teagasc do it on your behalf.
Teagasc are the main advisory arm in terms of out on the ground.
And is Teagasc on your board?
No, Teagasc is not represented on the board.
So
no.
how do you engage with Teagasc to tell them about the communication that now Teagasc? So are Teagasc your communication arm?
So no, Teagasc. Well, they are part of the strategy. Absolutely, they're part of the strategy. But I suppose I suppose before we ever get to the rollout phase. we work very closely with Teagasc in terms of the makeup of the indexes, and I'm not sure to what extent. So Paul, maybe you might just outline that for a minute.
So
there,
just
Senator, please.
again, to come back to the communication with farmers, you've just indicated that there's certain liaisons within ICBF. So who are they, I guess, and just what is the role of Teagasc? Teagasc doesn't sit on your board and isn't employed, and there aren't Teagasc people employed by ICBF.
Yep.
Where's the communication with farmers?
Thanks for the question, Senator Dolan. So I guess in terms of our engagement and interaction with ICBF, Teagasc have a remit in research. So we carry out research in our various research centres, and we would work closely with Sean and his colleagues in terms of designing the economic models and so on and so forth, and providing them with the economic values. So that's the front end.
Sorry, Dr. Crossan, just in terms of your own background, your qualifications are around, I know your specialty is within beef, and beef enterprise.
Correct.
Are you an economist by background?
No, I'm a farm systems analyst. So
You're
farm systems researcher.
A statistician as such, is it?
So my PhD was developing a farm systems model. So the economics of beef cattle production, essentially. So developing economic models, looking at the effect of that at farm level. So it's farm systems evaluation. And I guess in the last 10 years or so, more of that is life cycle assessment. So looking at the environmental impacts of farm systems and coupling that with economics. And I guess that's where this interacts with this piece of work. So the research piece is where we would, if you like, the front end, where we are working with Sean and the team in terms of developing the economic values, providing them with that information, and that information then becomes part of the beef indexes, and indeed the dairy indexes, the sheep indexes, and so on. So it's across species and across other indexes.
Dr. Crossan, I worked in SFI and I worked in research centres as well, and I very much understand the importance of research integrity, but I also understand the lack sometimes of communication from a scientific perspective to people on the ground. And this here to me is a prime example of the lack of communication of research that you conducted and the impact of which you then decided to announce, and it led to a huge impact for farmers on the ground. So to me, this lack of communication and the structures that you've set up, I suppose, again, sorry, if I come back again, you have 80 employees. Out of those 80 employees, there are no agri-advisors as such. You work with Teagasc to work with farmers. And can I ask you, is there other economists, I know your specialty is around economic indexes and around statistics, is there an economist on your board? Is there economists employed within ICBF?
No, we don't have any economists employed. The economic work,
the economic index
the economic analysis is done through Teagasc, correct.
Which is an agricultural body, an agricultural research body. So what business enterprises or universities do you work with? Where do you get, I suppose what I want to understand is, where does this background and expertise in economic indexes, which is what you've used to determine the indices here, what else are you relying on?
So
if you're relying on Teagasc, that's an agricultural research body. It's not an economic research body. So
I guess, Senator, I'm not sure who was here earlier, but in terms of the...
Apologies, I wasn't.
That's fine. In terms of the background to the economic model, the model was developed mid-2000s, so it was published in 2006. It has been published, internationally peer-reviewed, and you'll be familiar with the background in terms of that process. It's now used, or has been adapted. The beef systems model has been adapted for other countries because they've seen the benefit of it as a published article. So it's used in Norway, Scotland, currently Uruguay, Brazil. So I outlined this earlier in terms of the background to the model. Just in terms of the second piece of your question around the knowledge transfer and engagement, so Teagasc, I mentioned, that has a research remit, also has a KT directorate, and within the knowledge transfer directorate, and within the knowledge transfer directorate we have an education department and an advisory department. Within the advisory department, the country is separated into 12 regions, and we have approximately, it's not my part of the organisation, we have approximately 50 offices around those 12 regions, and we have beef advisors in each of those offices. So again,
that's within Teagasc.
Within Teagasc, correct.
Okay. So again, I suppose what I'm coming back to here is that the communication structures that you have within ICBF are not fit for purpose from what I can see here in terms of the impact. And again, that you've just noted that this is an issue here for you as well. I also have an issue around the economics and the qualifications on your board. I take on board the point as well by Senator Lombard here in terms of the female representation on the board. And it's not solely to do with the farming organisations that nominate people here. You also have AI, and I'm sure there are a lot of scientists female scientists as well in this area. And I know myself through Mount Bellew Agricultural College as well that there are a lot of very excellent people in research working in this space. So I don't accept that argument.
Could I come back on that,
if I may
Senator, if
highlight
possible?
that.
Could I just come back on that one, Senator, please?
I will let you
Sure,
come back
yeah.
in, but I just have one other question, please, if you don't mind, and I will let you come in, Sean, if there's time with the chair. But can I just ask, in relation to the boards, you mentioned a scientific advisory group, and you also mentioned the board itself. Is there a scientific advisory group and a technical advisory group? Apologies, I don't know if I missed that earlier, so that was my question. And just, is there crossover, and how do you manage conflicts of interest within your organisation?
So,
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So just on the female representation, just the
Look, in fairness, look, we're not here today.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'm happy. Sorry, I just want.
I stopped Senator Lombard. And,
That's fine. That's fine. I just.
You might write to us
we brought in to
Yeah.
discuss the beef indices.
Yeah.
The composition of the ICBF board can be a matter for another day.
Yeah.
Keep questions to the beef index, answers to the beef indexes, please.
Yeah, so the technical advisory committee is the tag. That is the independent subcommittee. There is a technical advisory meeting, we had possibly what you heard earlier was we have Herbook technical meetings that are engagements that we have with the breed societies once a quarter in terms of updating them on the technical developments that are happening.